Hello, welcome to Gaming in the Wild, a video game podcast about games from the creative, artistic, and often independently produced side of the spectrum. Today we're going to talk about Kentucky Route Zero. It's a game that's been 7 years in the making, and it was originally released as episodes. It came out as 5 episodes with an interlude between each one. But it was recently collected together. The circle was finished, the finale was created, and the whole package was released as a TV edition. That's a complete edition for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Steam, and other places too. So I guess we should call this episode 0 of Gaming in the Wild in honor of Kentucky Route Zero. It's a stunning game, really surprising. Throughout, it takes you to some really strange places, blurring the lines between seemingly mundane places like the Equus Oils petrol station where the game begins, and down into an underworld that lies beneath Kentucky, which is run through by an invisible highway called Kentucky Route Zero. The game begins when Conway, a delivery driver driving a very retro, vintage-looking truck, pulls into Equus Oils. He's trying to make a delivery, but he has a problem, and that is the address that he's looking for, Dogwood Drive, doesn't seem to exist on any maps. In the petrol station, sitting between the pumps, there is a guy called Joseph, leaning back onto a couch, without a care in the world, and he is the first of many surreal, multi-choice conversations that Conway will have with the denizens of the game. And talking really is the main gameplay element of Kentucky Route Zero. There is you do walk around as Conway. You explore locations. They're always very cinematic. They look like pieces of cinematography or theatre staging, like a house on a hill, and as Conway you'll zigzag up the path. And then as you reach the house, the camera angle will zoom in like a Stanley Kubrick shot, and the house wall will drop away as you enter, and you'll see the inside. But it's all very simple. It's, you walk around, you kind of find an object, you manipulate something. But it's all very simple, slow and chill. And then you meet someone, usually in one of these places, who lives there or who's passing through. And you can engage them in a conversation. The conversations themselves aren't normal in any way. The options that you're given, you usually get 3, are often non sequiturs. There'll be one that's an admission of something, like Conway might say something vague about drinking or just a sort of melancholic sentiment. And there'll be one that's kind of more optimistic or inquisitive, where you kind of ask a question or say something else, and then there's usually a small talk or a kind of a brusque get out of the conversation type response. And it's really fun to kind of just explore all of these different conversations. The conversations will take really strange lines because the person you're talking to will often speak in non sequiturs too. So it almost becomes like, I saw it described in one review, I can't remember where exactly, but it said the game was like a poetry generator, which seems like a really good way to describe it. It's often people that are sort of half communicating and half just kind of expressing towards each other somehow. And after a while it takes on quite a meditative quality. Like, you meet these people, they have stories, they have backgrounds, and so do you. And by talking you get fragments of those, but you also get a lot of atmosphere, a lot of sort of ambient information about people whose businesses have maybe closed down, or people who have art projects going on. They're looking for somewhere. One of the characters looking for somewhere to stage a theatre play. Another character that you meet is on the way to perform at a bar, perform a concert. Someone else is running an old TV repair shop. They all have their little stories, and when they start to kind of cohere together, and you've spoken to a lot of different people, you start to realise that the game's painting a picture of America, a certain part of America. It's not exactly clear when the game is set. Like, there are a lot of retro vintage touches to it, but it feels contemporary also, in that it's post-industrial. It feels like a lot of jobs and money has been drained away from this rural area in the game, and so it kind of hovers in a really dreamy kind of space where you're weaving together these poetic conversations. You're driving between these cinematic locations, and you're starting to get a picture of what the game is all about. And that's before it even gets weird. As far as the story goes, it's the less you know, the better, I guess. So I won't talk through what happens as you navigate the first chapter of the game. Everything I've talked about so far is in the opening chapter of the 5. So not many spoilers there. But suffice to say, it will take some directions that you won't expect, and it will go to some places that feel vividly dreamlike, and almost more like having deja vu than playing a game. But one of the best aspects of the game is the way that it combines a really cool, simple graphic style, stylized, cel-shaded figures with not much in the way of facial features or detail. These really cool locations that I've described with amazing lighting and camera angles that bring to mind Hitchcock at times, and really cool tracking shots that follow you through the scenery, and music made by Ben Babbitt, which you can hear in the background throughout the podcast, which adds a really ambient, dreamy quality to the whole thing. And then of course there's the writing, the conversations, texts. It's a big part of the game too, so it really does feel like it almost feels like a culmination of some art practices more than a video game in some ways. There's a very literary quality to the dialogue. The music is excellent, to the point at which I'm tempted to order the double vinyl of it that's been produced. There are concerts that happen in-game. Several moments where you'll sit and watch in the game. You just put the controller down, sit back, and take in a song. And all in all, it adds up to a really beautifully involving experience. I played one episode a night, with each one taking between 1 and 3 hours, and the brief interludes 30 minutes each or something. It's probably, I think it took me 8 or 9 hours to complete the whole thing. But I felt like I couldn't binge this game. There was too much happening, and it was such a mood that it kind of settles on you as you're playing it. So I played one episode each night, and then I would just turn it off and go make some tea, go and think about what had happened, and do something else. I could only play it at night too. It didn't feel right to play it in the daytime. Most of the game happens at night. The game begins with the sunset and happens throughout a long night. So that's Kentucky Route Zero. I hope that you found this useful. I hope that I talked you into giving it a try if you haven't already. It's not a costly game, but it's a very special one. And I hope that if you play it, you enjoy it too, as much as I did. So this has been episode 0 of Gaming in the Wilds. If you'd like to follow on Twitter and find out when new podcasts come up, then it's at Gaming in the Wilds. I'm also on Instagram. I have a games Instagram, and that's at Reviews Switch. That focuses on tweet length reviews of Switch games. I also wrote a review of this game for Switch Indie Fix and gave it a flat 10 out of 10. So you can read some more thoughts about it at Switch Indie Fix if you like. Thanks to Adam, the editor there, for publishing that. I'm aiming to make one of these podcasts every week, each one focusing on a different game. So hopefully every Friday I'll publish a podcast and you have something to listen to in the weekend, just 10 minutes about a game that you might want to try. So thanks very much for listening, and take care. Bye bye.